In this video, what I am going to discuss is all about reflective teaching. Learning outcome. At the end of this video, you're expected to first, identify what is reflective teaching and its significance. Demonstrate methods on how to become reflective teacher. Identify numbers of strategies used in reflective teaching, and lastly, understand the benefits of different strategies used in reflective teaching. This video is composed of four main topics. The first one is what is reflective teaching. The second one is the importance of reflection in teaching. The next one is how does reflective teaching help students? And lastly, how does reflective take place? As an introduction, Julius Caesar once said, experience is the best teacher. On the other hand, John Dewey said, we do not learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on experience. The point is, lesson will never be a lesson if we don't learn from it. The same with experience. We do not learn from experience. We learn from reflecting on it. So, reflective teaching. When instructors engage in reflective teaching, they are dedicating time to evaluate their own teaching practice, examine their curricular choices, consider student feedback, and make revision to improve student belonging and learning. This self-assessment process requires information gathering, data interpretation, and planning for the future. Some definition of reflective teaching focused on how teachers reflect themselves as students. Some emphasized on becoming a reflective teacher, and reflective teaching is indeed significant to practice. Teacher requires self-assessment in order for a teacher to improve teaching, provide a better learning environment, and this can make a much more effective. Next is the importance of reflection in teaching. Reflective practice in teaching is arguably one of the most important sources of personal professional development and improvement. Effective teachers are first to admit that no matter how good a lesson is, their practice can always be improved. Teacher reflection is important because it's a process that helps teachers to collect, record, and analyze everything that happened in the lesson. It allows teachers to move from just experiencing into understanding. Students are more attentive if they are related to the topic or if they experience the given examples related to the topic. And it's the teacher's responsibility and obligation to design and to come up with a good strategy in teaching. For instance, if the topic is about technology, you could give some sort of examples like mobile games, which is a current trend, to arouse their participation and sense of curiosity. So, how truly important reflection is? When making a lesson plan, choosing a good teaching materials, and even during delivering the topic of a certain lesson, the important factors that you have to consider is your students and reflection is taking place. Reflection, it allows and encourage teachers to put themselves into their students' shoes, which is something most skilled teachers do. Next is advantage of reflective teaching in times of change. In 2020, schools were forced to deploy a new approach to teaching and learning, and teachers started delivering online and blended teaching as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Besides the technical challenges they were facing, this also put even the most experienced teachers in charted waters. Teaching strategies needed to be reconsidered and delivery forms adapted to the new learning environment. Yeah, indeed. It is indeed. We are all in struggle because of this pandemic. Not just the students, but also teachers. And teachers encouraged to deploy a reflective teaching to facilitate learning despite of disadvantaged circumstances. For example, video presentation is one of the best strategy that a teacher can come up with as a partial requirement. Since video presentation is encourage students to reflect themselves to the topic Reflection happens everywhere. It is because it is our nature to think of ourselves. Hence, reflection takes place and learning as well. Next is how does reflective teaching help students? Reflective teaching is an important concept. What might seem like busy work in educator programs actually can really change the way you function in the classroom as a teacher. The goal of analyzing your teaching with reflection specifically allows you to find what works best or worse in the classroom and adjust your approach. Reflective teaching helps students understand how to better perform each little part to create a better future. In a world of in a world of teaching, standard based on students' outcomes, being able to reflect upon your classroom activities may seem like a luxury that most teachers do not have time for. Reflection creates student-centered learning. When you are in front of the classroom teaching, the first things that you come to mind are generally about how to get through the lesson at hand or what is coming up next. However, without the student in the classroom, the teacher will not have a reason to be there. Student-centered learning is one of the foundations of modern educational theory and practice. So what are the benefits of reflective learning for students? Another is students can also benefit from using reflective practices in their studies. Reflection includes analyzing and improving learning acquisition to improve knowledge assimilation while developing an improved level of understanding of the lessons. Student performance can be improved by using reflective learning practices. Some individual students can reflect on class sessions. They will identify and improve on their weaknesses and ameliorate their overall performance. So is reflective teaching a good teaching? Yes, it is. Reflective practice encourages teachers to understand their learners and their abilities and needs. Reflection helps to put themselves in their students' shoes, which is something many skilled teachers do. Next is reflection leads to better teaching. When you first learned to ride a bike, you had to remember multiple steps to accomplish it. Speeding up, balancing, stopping. Each skill required a bit of reflection as you were learning, and putting it all together took a bit as well. What might seem like one simple task to those who know how to do it, it is really many small complex tasks that all come together perfectly. It enhances innovation. You can use reflection teaching methods to search for innovations on how to improve your teaching methods. Reflective teaching and innovation fully complement each other. For instance, if you notice that your student's interest is waning, perhaps you can use some projectors, online platforms to improve your delivery and capture their interest. Next is how does reflective take place? Many different approaches can be employed if one wishes to become a critically reflective teacher, including observation of oneself and others, team teaching, and exploring one's view of teaching through writing. The first one is peer observation. Peer observation provides opportunities for teachers to view each other's teaching in order to expose them to different teaching styles and to provide opportunities for critical reflection on their own teaching. Some suggestions for peer observation are first, each participant would both observe and be observed. Teacher would work in pairs and take turns observing each other classes. Second, pre-observation orientation session. So this occurs before the observation. Prior to each observation, the two teachers would meet to discuss the nature of the class to be observed, the kind of material being taught, and teachers' approach to teaching, the kinds of students in the class, typical patterns of interaction and class participation, and any problems that might be expected. So this occur before the observation, wherein you and your partner have to set some sort of checklist that will critique your strengths and weaknesses in teaching. The observation. So this is during the observation or during the discussion. The observer would then visit his or her partner class and complete the observation using the procedures that both partners had agreed on. And next is post observation. So this is after the observation. The two teachers would meet as soon as possible after the lesson. The observer would report on the information that had been collected and discuss it with the teachers. So what are the benefits of those strategies? What are the benefits of peer observation? So the benefits are the teacher identify a variety of different aspects of their lessons for their partners to observe and collect information on. These include organization of the lesson, teachers' times management, students' performance on task, time on task, teacher question and student responses, student performance during pair work, classroom interaction, class performance during a new teaching activity, a student's use of the first language or English during group work. The teachers gain a number of insights about their own teaching from their colleagues' observations, and that they would like to use peer observation on a regular basis. They may also obtain a new insights into aspects of their teaching. Another strategy is recording a lesson. Video or audio recordings of lessons can provide very useful information for reflection. You may do things in class you are not aware of, or there may be things happening in the class that as the teacher you do not normally see. It is useful showing the aspects of teacher's behavior in class. Physical aspects such as where does the teacher stands, who does she speaks to, how does the teacher come across while dealing with the students. Another strategy is ask a student for feedback. You can also ask your students what they think about what goes on in the classroom. Their opinions and perceptions can add a different and valuable perspective. This can be done with simple questionnaires or learning diaries. Ask students for feedback. At the end, for instance, at the end of semester, university conduct an evaluation wherein students are going to evaluate their subject teachers about their performance, how they teach, and their teaching methodology. These will be those will be the data that will serve as guideline in improving teaching competency. And that would be all.